It doesn't matter how many you have it. So next, I will show you how you configure that to bring up the building floor, the network setting stuff. So back to the DNA Center here. As you can see here, under system settings, number one things you do is to do the integration between ICE and DNA Center. So under here, you will see authentication and policy servers, and then you can add it. To save time for this session, I already add the integration already. If I click Edit here, you just simply put the ICE IP address. The share secret here, just beware. That's a share secret between TACAX server or Radius server and device, not between, it is not between the DNAC and the ICE server, right? Now for ICE, you need to put into is a super admin username password. And the other thing super important is the FQDN on the ICE deployments, right? That FQDN has to be accurate because when we do mutual authentication between two certificate systems, the FQDN has to match, right? So this is the way we do mutual authentications. Now, subscriber name is just where for PX grade, you need to identify, a DNAC need to identify itself as one of the subscriber, right? At the very bottoms, and you need to define, you want this ICE server to acting as Radius and TACAX. That's all you need to do. So now, if everything is normal, you will see the status here, we're showing as active. So after you've done this, in the network setting, first you need to do is in the global level, you add AAA servers. Once you click this and click OK, we can select network and client. Now, if I select ICE servers, and I'm using protocol is for the TACAX, and then that ICE servers will show, the panel IP will show up here. Once I get that, it will show me the list of PSNs, right? So in this integration, I have ICE cluster with one panel with two PSNs. So 31.31.32 is the two PSN node. So I can add 31 as primary and 32 as my secondary PSN. So same thing for the Radius. We can using ICE for the Radius. Same setup. I can add a second server and click Save. Now remember, now if it's in some scenario, I have a site, I want the 32 to be primary, I simply go into that site and flip the order. Questions? I'm sorry?
If we have 6 PSNs and we want to use a local answer here.
Local ends?
Load balance.
Oh, load balance. You mean load balance. OK, got it. So the question is, he has 6 PSNs. Can we configure load balance here? How do I do that? Right? Essentially here, today, we do have limitation. Be honest with you, we only support PSN node per site for now. But we do have a plan to support more PSN node in the future, so you can do the real load balance. So right now, it's just 2 PSNs you can do load balance between them. The only way I can think about that load balancing to work around this scenario is you put a load balancer in front. Then you point to a single one, and let the load balancer to handle that. But we do have a plan to support more PSN nodes. See, essentially here is, it just here, that add button, we just need to add more, right? So right now, it's essentially, we're going to put this Radius into the, in the group. And right now, we don't have that yet, but we do have that in plan. Any other questions? Very good questions. So the second thing is, the DHCP server, DNS services. So I don't want to go through too much detail. It's very standard. I do want to cover here is the time zone, because there's a lot of people ask me questions saying, hey, Ping, what's the time zone here? Does it mean on the switches, routers, we actually going to configure time zone? The answer is no. Right? So the time zone here is purely for DNAC doing scheduling. So why this scheduling is important? Because we'll talk about software image upgrade later. If you think about maybe especially in Europe, you have different sites across different time zones. You want to make sure you will activate image at the local time zone, right? Now, before you may, if you are a lucky guy, manage multiple sites, you have to do that translation on the time yourself, right? To manage that time, then activate it. But now, if you set the time zone correctly on local site, DNA Center will be scheduling the activation of image at local time. So that's why the time zone here is purely for scheduling purposes. There's no configuration change happen. However, for all the other things you configure in this page, we do make some configuration changes. Okay, any questions? Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is device credentials. One thing I do want, there's nothing really here special here too, is CLI credentials. One thing I do want to call out is, here the credential for CLI is for local account, not for TAC account. So if you want to do it for configuration purposes, this is purely for local account purposes. Now for SMP credential, you just define. Sorry, because I have to make it bigger for the guys in the back can see it. So you can see now the UI is kind of cramped. So after all that, we essentially define the network setting.